Right, can you just be as big as my screen, please? All right, thank you. Okay, people, are we going to get them back or have I lost everyone? Live. Let's just check this. So that was just done and that's not being demonetized yet. Fantastic. On done. Okay, are people coming back in? Apparently not so far, but I was just live streaming and I did the whole threatening you that I was going to end the stream if no one put money in, and literally as I clicked end the stream, Racheal chucked a tenner in. So I thought I'd come back, but I don't know if it's going to be worthwhile or not. We shall see. Switch. Sorry, so I'm just putting monetization on. So the stream will start again in a minute. Yeah, so I'm doing this because I've come back. I saw that tenner, Racheal. You chucked a tenner in literally at the last second as I'm clicking the end stream. So I understand why you waited to the last second in the hope that somebody else would, but also, you know, maybe 10 seconds before, don't do it as I'm going to click the end stream button. And as I click the end stream button, I see it pop up and Racheal puts in £10. So I really get it from your perspective, but, you know, try and do it a little bit earlier, because now we've lost everyone and now it's a shit stream. Now we've got 14 people. We had 70 before. And I've got to do this. I've got to put all the monetization back on and all that. So, you know, it would have been much better if you'd done it 10 seconds earlier. But thank you, Racheal, is what I'm trying to say. And thank you for keeping the stream going. That is amazing. Right, 1 minute, guys, and you'll have my attention. Hopefully we'll get the 70 people back. Hopefully Nathan will be one of them. Hopefully I'll get some live stream name suggestions for the last one that revolve around Nathan and his 11 inches, or whatever you think it should be. I really do want you to help me name that last live stream video, so you could be getting those in now when I just put the monetization on the last channel, and then you will have my attention. Oh, I should also make a coffee. So we're doing half an hour, thanks to Racheal's tenner. If you want it to be an hour, then chuck in a tenner. Content, live stream, turn on the shekel machine. Give me $3 for my videos, please. You horrible shekel non-sharing platform, but actually you're the best at sharing all the shekels of all the platforms. So thank you, shekel providers. All right, we've got 19 of you back. Most importantly, Racheal's back to get her £10 worth. But we need some questions so Racheal can have her £10 worth. Don't be sorry. It's just a learning. It's just you know, we're both learning all the time about different things and the same things. So yeah, your learning was that if you want the live stream to continue and you're willing to pay for that to happen, then, but also, you know, you're trying to encourage others to do it and not take on all the burden yourself. So of course you're going to wait till the last minute. I totally understand that, but not the last second. But no need for sorries. You have nothing to be sorry for. You know, I have deep gratitude for you, Racheal. Deep, deep gratitude. The Duke is back. John's in. Greeny Page or something like that is here. But as it stands, we've got no comments, and we've got, yeah, I mean, it's a real shame. It's a real shame that just happened, because I had a lot of fantastic comments to riff into. What are we calling that last live stream? And it can't be too cock-related, because I'll lose a load of Not Today Satan subscribers. But also, we did spend a lot of time I spent a lot of time talking about Nathan's 11 inches. Right, this is only going to work, guys, if you get comments in. Okay, Anu has a title suggestion. Nathan took me to Subway. Fuck, that's good. Oh, wow, everyone's coming in now. Nathan took me to Subway. I feel like it's almost there, but it could be a bit better. Nathan's big train didn't fit in the Subway. It's probably too much. I think you're probably right. Okay, keep them coming. So far, it's Nathan took me to Subway. That is good. You know my issues with technology, Tom. I'm learning. They will all log back in. I like your trust and knowing. Now, what time is it for you guys? It's about 2 a.m., isn't it? So I imagine a lot of people will have been staying up past their desired bedtime based on that stream, and will when it ended, will have been like, okay, I'm going to bed, and won't now have looked at YouTube to see if you know, they will have assumed the stream won't be carrying on. But they might have seen that tenner go in and be wondering, I just wonder if he'll come back on. Those guys were fast as lightning. No, every time I get up, it doesn't mean you're getting food. So demanding. Nathan took me to the subway. Let's just change that now while we wait for some comments to come in. Oh, it's on 3 channels though. That's a lot of work. Fuck me. Oh, and we might get other suggestions, so I'll just do this one. Nathan took me to the Very good. But keep them coming. I think we can do better. How did you get to 12 Bitcoin? Well, I discovered it when it was only $5,000, so that helped a lot. So I'm in, this is the third or fourth cycle that I've experienced. So the cycles every 4 years. I think I've been involved for 12 years. So that's how. But also I was tenacious and risk-taking. I did it when everyone was still laughing at it. I remember saying to my sister, you need to buy one of these, and she was just ridiculed me. So I just smiled at her and shook my head. And then, you know, that caused a meltdown in the family, and I had to leave the dinner table because obviously I'm wrong for trying to save my family. And then 6 months later, when it was 70,000, or maybe a year later, I said to her, so Jane, do you remember when I told you to buy Bitcoin? And I had to leave the dinner table again because obviously my fault. You know, I just tried to make you rich and tried to stop you from poisoning yourself. My fault. You said I say sorry a lot. You called that well, but I do hurt people for a living. Yeah, well, that's why you're showing up in so much shame, because you know your living is demonic. But the fact that you know that means it's going to change very soon, and good on you. But yeah, of course, you're holding a lot of shame over how you earn money, and therefore it's showing up in sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the insanity of the consciousness of humanity. So how did I get to 12 Bitcoin? Well, there were only 5,000 and I was a risk taker. So when everyone was laughing at it, well, really, it came through seeing that everything in society was a lie. So I didn't really understand Bitcoin. I had one friend who was very wise financially. He was the one that told me about it. It made sense to me. But what I didn't do is what most of you would do and research it loads and then find all the problems with it. So, you know, like people who are never going to drink ayahuasca, what they'll do is they'll watch lots of people drinking ayahuasca and they'll be like, and they'll not, like, I just went and drank ayahuasca. I didn't research it. I didn't watch videos about it. I just went and did it. Whereas if I'd have watched loads of videos about it, I probably wouldn't have done, because I'd have seen, you know, what looks like a bad time for people. So what all the other people around me were doing, if they heard about Bitcoin, is they were Googling it, and Google was telling them that it was a scam. And they were like, oh, right, no, I'm not doing that because Google told me. Whereas I didn't do that. I just trusted my friend. And then I also had enough knowledge on the lies. So I knew that money didn't exist. I knew that fiat was a con. I knew that inflation was a scam. So I knew enough. To me, there was no risk. To me, the risk was keeping the money in the bank. I knew enough about this world and how it works and how they fuck us over. I knew enough about all that to not see Bitcoin as a risk. And then 12 Bitcoin for me at that time was what, $60,000, £60,000? Not much money. So I just put all the spare money I had into it because it seemed safer than having it in a bank, which is obviously true. However, not really, because Bitcoin is created by the same people that run the banking system. And that was proven, it's been proven in many ways, but that was really proven for me when Bitcoin crashed by 30 or 40% when Joe Biden was in charge, and he tweeted a picture of himself with the, you know, the red Bitcoin eyes, the red glowing Bitcoin eyes, and he tweeted these words: "It's as if we control it." So that was total confirmation. I don't think there's anywhere safe to put your money. They control it all. But the whole wanting to hoard money comes from fear anyway. Like, you'll get over that once you become oneness. Lozzie, I'm here, but you're negatively impacting my sleep. Yeah, sorry about that, Lozzie. Just listen and try and drift off to my soft, docile tones. Closer. Sorry, couldn't resist. All right, 26 of you came back. You can all thank Racheal for the half hour we're going to do. Of course, we can do more than half an hour if you want to put money in. I'm feeling good. My energy is great. So, visiting Hershey's Highway. I don't get it. I think it's probably really good, but what's Hershey's Highway? I mean, obviously, it's something about bumming, but can you break it down for this dumbass bummer? Yeah, we're back because Racheal threw in a tenner. I literally saw it as I clicked end stream. It was pretty devastating because I felt like it was a really good stream. I was really enjoying it. She must be getting so pissed off with everyone else. She loves the live so much that she, feels it's worth putting money in, but she must be getting so fed up of being one of the few that do it. Bless her. Oh, Racheal. A friend of mine has 44 Bitcoins. Oh my God. So, basically $4 million. Nice. Nice. Very nice. However, he's living in Dubai. So this shows what hoarding does, So hoarding will create such fear and scarcity in one that they'll live in a place like Dubai, which is hell. Like actual hell living in Dubai. Just complete materialism. There's no one there that's met themselves. The worst people ever are going to be in Dubai. Wow. Who is that? Is that Racheal? That can't be Racheal. Let me not get distracted. I think Racheal's just put 20,000. Fuck me. Let me just try and finish this. Dubai, yeah, horrendous. So obviously it's horrendous in terms of materialism and the people that are there. Obviously it's Arab, so that's horrendous. It's horrendous in terms of the life experience, so you can't go outside. You have to live inside. Now, obviously, it's 5-star luxury and all that, and if you've got 44 Bitcoins, you're going to think that's great because you're completely disconnected from anything that actually means something like nature. And then you've got the fact that it's the worst place to live with the way the world is right now, and that's even before the Iran war, but like this has been really exposed since the Iran war. Like, there's no water in the desert. It's the most inauthentic, unnatural place in the world. No one should be living there. There should just be a few tribes with camels moving from water spot to water spot. That's all the desert can support. But humans have tried to manipulate nature and manipulate reality and have created Dubai. But it only works by these I don't quite know what you call them, salinization plants, I think. So basically taking salt out of seawater. So if it was to lose electricity, everyone dies of thirst within 2 days. And if it was to get bombed by Iran, Iran have threatened to bomb these plants. So if that happens, Dubai's over. So he's living a very repressed, very unnatural life because he wants to feel safe, because having 44 Bitcoins is actually very scary. If people found out he had 44 Bitcoin, he'd be a top target for Russian gangsters and many other people. So therefore, he has to live in Dubai because that's the place he feels safest, because there is no crime in Dubai. But he sacrificed his whole existence for that. So is it worth it? Is he winning? What do you think? Whoa, Rachel, what the fuck you doing, woman? I wish I found your channel before 2019 so I wouldn't have taken the poison. Sad. But I'm detoxing like your body worker. Thanks ever so much for waking me up since I found Not Today Satan 2 years ago, and now Tom G and Michael. Thank you for honoring yourself, Rachel. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for giving back. Thank you for being all that you are. Will you go another hour now, my friend? Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rachel. So we're doing an hour. Let me just make my coffee. Let me find something to riff into, and then I'll make my coffee. Come on, folks, throw in a tenner. What's a tenner these days? 2 cups of tea or a pack of bacon. That's very true. If you can't throw in money, can you like the stream, please? And can you comment on the stream to make it more interesting? Currently living the neat lifestyle. I'm not sure what that is. So I'm not even as useful guy. So I'm not even a useful guy. Neat. What's neat? It's going to be something about simplicity, I imagine. Just a useless eater, Rachel. Getting a job is the B these days. I think I agree. I don't quite understand what you're saying, but I think I agree with you. 3 hours in total, including the last live stream, yes. I find it interesting that you said homosexuality stems from trauma. It seems every person I know who is gay, including my sister, has some form of trauma, but never hear anyone talk about it. Yeah, because they don't want to accept that. They want to think that they're empowered, and they want to think that it's choice, and they want to think that it's just the way I am. I'm born this way. I don't need to take any responsibility. I don't need to look at myself. I'm just going to take lots of substances and scissor. So every gay man doesn't have a dad, basically, or their dad is crap, but most of them actually don't have dads. And you'll find similar things with women. So the body worker was talking about her friend who basically had a horrendous relationship with her mother and is now a lesbian. Like, it's very obvious. It's very obvious. But gays are very unconscious. Gays are very hedonistic. Gays are very traumatized. So they go more into the external, hence pride and all that. And then it's got to a point now where they're chopping bits off their body and calling themselves transsexuals, like massively going into the external, massively going into not feeling, massively going into avoiding themselves because the internal is so chaotic, so traumatized, so scary. So therefore, to not feel, because their emotions are very strong, fear, despair, to not acknowledge that, they have to go further into the external, hence chopping parts of their body off and thinking gender means something and making gender their whole existence. It's actually very obvious and very simple. Makes complete sense. But because we live in such a conditioned, repressed, controlled society where they don't want anyone to speak obvious, simple truth like that, it's quite shocking when you hear it for the first time, but it's actually very obvious. I mean, if you find a 40-year-old on a gap year funded by mummy and daddy, aspirational, oh my God. The stories they make up, unbelievable. Like, you've just made up a story. I don't get any money off my parents. It's absolutely untrue. But you have to tell yourself this, because if not, you're going to have to realize that I am inspirational. And therefore, you're going to have to realize how uninspirational you are and how much work you have to do if you want to be as inspirational as me. So that's what's going on here. So this is transsexual levels of mental somersaults. This is transsexual levels of delusion, transsexual levels of lying to oneself in order to not look at oneself. Like, you're so desperate to keep the finger out here, you've got to a point where you're just making up stories. Like, literally making up stories. So that you don't have to look at yourself. Because if you look at yourself, you're going to go, oh shit, in 6 hours, I have to go and be a slave. Oh shit, I've never said anything true in my life. Oh shit, I've just said what other people want me to say because I'm a people-pleasing pussy. You see? You see why you're making up these stories? We'll keep you in the chat for now. but you're not going to last long because you can't. You can't be honest. You can't be responsible. You just make up lies so you can stay repressed and hateful. Do you want to be repressed and hateful for the rest of your life, Fredo? Is that really how you want to live for yourself? I don't care about your lies. It makes no difference to me. I'm not being defensive. I'm not triggered. I'm reflecting to you. Do you want to keep living like this? Do you want to keep living a lie? Do you want to keep lying to yourself? Is that how you want to show up in this world? Do you want to be on your deathbed knowing that you never told the truth to yourself, let alone anyone else? Do you want to be on your deathbed knowing your whole life was a sham? Think about it, Fredo. You can do better, bro. Sorry to say, but you cannot fully detox from the jibby jab. The DNA has been permanently altered, including your God gene. You're no longer a human being. But rather a Homo Borg Genesis. Oh, Duke of Death, you are wonderful. I agree and disagree. On a third dimensional level, I totally agree. But I think we're much more than what the third dimension suggests, and I think anything is possible. And I also think if you did do it, I also don't really know why you're doing this, Duke of Death, because how is that helping anyone? I mean, you could say the truth is the truth. From your perspective, that's true. So let's just call it the truth, because we're speaking from your perspective. So you could say the truth is always the best, and that's kind of my way. But also I appreciate there's no point me saying that to my mum. And I've got to, so I used to, because I used to be so dedicated to the truth, and that actually came through my own disconnection and my own trauma. Not dedication to the truth, but valuing that above my mum's, what's best for my mum. So I used to say stuff like that to my mum. Now I've got to a place where I say to my mum, there's many different batches. I think you got one that doesn't kill people. Even though I don't really believe that. I mean, I kind of do, but whatever. So I put my mum's needs ahead of my own now. It doesn't feel like you're doing that here. And I'm not saying you should do that. That's just, you know, where I'm coming from. And it's up to you whether you want to lean into, you know, doing that too. So I don't see how this helps Racheal in any way. I think this scares Racheal. I think this reinforces the fear in Racheal around what she did and makes it more likely that what you're saying is true. Which maybe you're still so of the ego, but that's all that matters to you, whether you're right or not. And Racheal's experience of his life makes no difference to you. I'm not saying that someone else's experience should ever affect you, but you should be aware and want to, not should be, that's too strong a word. There is an invitation to a deeper version of yourself that would be aware of others, and you would want to impact them more positively. Because obviously you're further on the journey than Racheal, because you didn't do that stupid thing. So really, it would be nice if you were a bit more like this than this. But at the same time, I totally understand why you are like you are, and I was for many years. Because when you did try to help these people, they called you names. So of course you have some anger in you and some, haha, fuck you, I was right, you're gonna die. Of course. But there is a deeper, more loving version of you that wouldn't feel that trigger and then wouldn't need to do this. Right, okay, so from a third dimension, I do agree with you on a scientific level. However, I do think that one can I can't find the word, but there's a word that Lee and Michael use a lot, which basically they use when I'm worrying about poisonings. Transmutation, maybe? That sounds like a bad Elon Musk word. That sounds like what Elon Musk is trying to do to everyone. Transmuting, no, it is transmuting. Not mutation, though. Transmuting, it's transmuting. So they basically, it's not a belief, it's just the way they walk. They're not scared of any poisons. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to go and get a vaccine, obviously. And I'm pretty sure they would lose everything material before they took a vaccine. So it doesn't mean that you're going to start doing stupid shit. But also they're not scared of, soap and chemicals like I am, because they just believe they transmute it, or know that they transmute it. They know that vibration is, so parasites is a good example. Like they just know that their vibration is too high for parasites, I think. So there's also that perspective. But I think from your and Racheal's perspective, you are right, sadly. Neat, not in education, employment, or training. Okay, I've forgotten what the relevance to that was. What was the relevance to it? Who put that? I can't remember, but was it about me? Because I couldn't think of anything worse than any of those things. So not being in indoctrination, basically. Education, extreme indoctrination. Employment is slavery. And training is training to be a slave. So definitely good to be neat. Tom, what's your advice for young guys dealing with young women, well, you're asking a gay boy, who are extremely of the ego, materialistic, deluded, and intrinsically vaped in their interests and passions? Yeah, you've got a real problem, mate. You're 27, aren't you? So basically, every woman in your generation, there's going to be a few exceptions, are horrific. They're not even women anymore, they're men. So they're very distorted women that are shaming being feminine. So they're shaming being a mother, they're shaming not having a job, they're shaming dedicating yourself to a man, they're shaming being led with a man. Being led by a man. They're shaming submission, which obviously every woman should submit to a man for their own good, to serve themselves best, so that they can serve, themselves and the world in the way they can, which is by creating a loving home and bringing up amazing children. And that will satisfy them much more than pretending to be a man and having a job. So women have been attacked massively by feminism. They've had their lives destroyed by feminism. They've been tricked that being a slave is better than being a mother, and that is empowering in some way. So this is what you're dealing with now. You're dealing with the ramifications of that a few generations on. So now it's really strong. And we've got to the point where they're, refugees, welcome here. I'd rather be living next to a refugee than a white man. It's gone really far. The women have been really strongly manipulated through their emotions to be horrendous. To hate themselves. And to hate men and to hate everything. So I think you need to accept that reality. So I would say that normie mainstream dating is never going to serve you. You're never going to meet a woman on Tinder that's a woman. You're going to meet a very distorted woman trying to be a man who hates you. Then you've also got the dating dynamics. So, when we were in tribes of 100 people, or even just pre-internet, just when it was like Sheffield, Birmingham, Leicester, there was a pool of people for people. So obviously women want the best G. So naturally, instinctually, I should say, women are looking for the best genes for their children. So they want the best looking man, the most intelligent man, basically. And obviously that would work really well when you're just people in Sheffield or a tribe of 100 people. The best looking man gets with the best looking women, and then the second, and then you get down to the munters, and the munters are happy because there's a munter for the munter, and they can munt together while they have sexual relations. And everyone's fine, everyone gets a partner. But then you introduce the internet, and suddenly the bottom 90% of women are all going for the top 10% of men. So 10% of men are shagging all the women. And because the ugly 90% get to have sex with the top chads, the top 10% of men, that then warps their standards. So first of all, Tinder warps their standards, the internet warps their standards by giving them huge selection, because obviously women have all the power when it comes to women have the choice. Women get to choose the man, because all men want asexual relations all the time. And women aren't that bothered about that. So they hold all the power, basically, which is fine when you only have 100 men and 100 women, because they're going to be realistic. And that power doesn't mean that much, because if you're ugly, you're not going to get a good-looking man. Sorry, love, you're ugly. Deal with it. You're going to have an ugly man, and they accept that. So the average guys end up with average women, and everyone's happy. And they create average children, and it just carries on. But when the women who are the ones that make the decisions on relationships, as in whether we're going to be in a relationship or not, it's certainly in 2026 they do, have access to all the men, it warps them. And then, because men love shagging, they actually get to shag the top 10% when they're a munter. And then that warps them more. They then think that they're worthy of the top 10%. So then they spend their whole, up until they're 30, shagging the top 10%, thinking that they can just have one whenever they want, but bouncing over all the top 10% dicks. And then they get to 30 and they're no longer attractive, and the 10% aren't interested in them. So then they start lowering their standards and going for the average guys. But the average guys are like, well, you've been on 200 dicks. I don't want you. So then they end up as cat women. Very bitter and depressed and miserable. And that's where all the refugees are welcome here. I hate white men comes from as well. So it's really, unless you're a Chad, it's really difficult. And even if you're a Chad, they're still going to be a liberal woman. No one wants a liberal woman in their lives. It's not even worth it if they're having sex with you. Like, they're awful. They're horrendous. Like literally the worst things on the planet are liberal women. Maybe bioweapons. But I think liberal women are worse. Would you rather live next to bioweapons or liberal women? I suppose liberal women, because at least they're not violent. I mean, they can be violent, but they're women, so you can just flick them away. So, Justin, you're clearly, you haven't met yourself yet. You're still young, but you're clearly a man. You clearly have, masculine energy. You clearly have some sense of self-worth and honoring. So you want to lead the way. Well, you're not going to find a woman that submits to you in England. So then what's your option? Well, come out to Southeast Asia where women are still women, but then you've got all the cultural differences, which are very hard to get over. And then you've got the issue of race mixing, if that's an issue for you. I don't know if it is or not, but for many in this chat, that would be an issue. So, sorry, I'm just checking out in case it's Debbie telling me the mic's not on or something like that. So yeah, it's really difficult, mate. So I think the only answer is to don't give yourself to it. Don't chase it, because it's demonic. It's never going to work. You'll never ever until you become so the answer is to go in, mate, and do the work, and that will make you a man that can attract the very few good women that are left in the UK. So the only way out is in, do the work, and don't give yourself to these horrendous demonic hoes. How's that, Justin? It's true, Tom. You're only lying to yourself. It's not possible that you're lying to yourself, bro. You're wiser than me, are you? You're enslaved. You took the jib jab, and you're wiser than me. Come on, bro. Look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. Look at my life and look at your life, and ask yourself who is lying to themselves. Yeah, let's just ban him. Okay, transhumanism. No, it's not that. That's the evil stuff. That's the Elon Musk stuff. It's the opposite of that. My dad is a 6'4" Scouse ground worker, physically in his prime, took the jib and had a stroke 2 weeks later and is now non-verbal. And oh, mate, that's just awful. That's just awful. Bless you, Louis. Bless your dad. Bless you. That's such a sad story. Such a sad story. And I can feel anger in me for you, man. Like, I don't let myself get caught up in this shit too much anymore. I don't let them, I don't let myself attach to what they want me to attach to, which is fear and anger. And like I said in this live, but the first half of it, the animals running out of the forest really did that for me, and this story does that for me. Like this makes me want to burn down Parliament. It's just fucking disgusting, mate. That must be so traumatic for you, Louis. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. But hopefully, what it will do, what I'm sure it will do, it will serve you long term. Well, obviously, there's going to be loads of trauma with it, but trauma is very serving. You know, it's going to make you a better man than your dad, and it's going to make you never fall for that shit like your dad did. Fucking disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. My aunt kind of snitched on via contact tracing at the peak of the con bullshit. I had to take a nasal swab. Yeah, I think we've spoken about this before. I mean, you didn't have to take a nasal swab. You people pleased. I wouldn't have taken it otherwise, nor the jab, but I fear I almost lost my humanity. Yeah, I'd be pretty fearful of that too. I mean, I'm pretty sure it burst the blood-brain barrier. Not good. Why did you do it, man? I don't understand. So the question, when you last brought this up, the question I asked was like, did the police come to your door? So my understanding is Aunt came to your gathering with mask on and cold, went to hospital thinking she had COVID. They asked her how many people she'd been around, and she said 5 people. But you never went on from there. Like, what happened after that? So you say you had to take the test. I imagine your aunt just came back and said, you need to take this test, and you people please and did it, which is obviously pathetic. But are you saying the police came to your door and said you had to take this test? And even so, that I would still say no. No. Nothing's going up my nose, you satanic fucking deep state foot soldier. Fuck off, would have been my response. So this line, I had to take responsibility, bro. You didn't have to do anything. Justin, just move to Southeast Asia and get a nice, cute girl, problem solved. It's not that simple, man. Yes, they are still women. But there's race mixing issues for somebody who is proud of their English heritage, which I imagine Justin is. There's also scamming issues, there's cultural issues, there's loads of issues, man. It's not nearly as easy as you make out. I don't think two cultures can really be together. You know, I think if you're still of lust, then yeah, you know, you can satisfy that. But I think that's about it. You know, I mean, I look at them communicating and I'm just like, yeah, there's no real communication going on. Like, it's such basic conversations that these mixed race couples have. So is it companionship or is it just desperation? Like, so I went on a date yesterday and I'm asking myself these questions. Like, yeah, I can appreciate that a bit of companionship with an Asian as well. A bit of companionship in my life would be beneficial, but not what it's going to turn into, which would be living with someone. Like, no, I don't need that. Like, I'm not that desperate. You know, I love myself way too much to need to live with someone. And that would take away from me, and that would be out of desperation and the fear of not wanting to be alone and the desire for companionship. But really, my cats can give me more companionship than an Asian can. And that's not knocking Asians. That's just recognizing that our cultures are so different that we can't. So the person I went on a date with last night is 21. So his idea of entertainment is shorts, is TikTok. So I said to him, you know, hypothetically, if we got into a relationship, how would it work? Like, what are we going to do in the evenings? You're going to sit on your phone scrolling, and I'm going to sit staring at the TV, and I'm not going to want to listen to your fucking bullshit, as in what's coming out of your phone. So you would have to sit there with headphones on. So then he challenged me, which I really like about him. This is why I like him. He was like, what, so you can't hear anything you don't like? And I was like, yeah, I can't hear TikTok. It's a vibrational thing. Of course I can't hear the demonic self-hatred that comes out of TikTok. You think I can hear the noise changing every 5 seconds? So I'm having mosquito issues, wasn't it? So I was like, so I was just being dead honest with him. I was just like, what's the point of having a relationship with someone if you're both doing different things, as in like you're sat together, but you've literally got headphones on or listening to something in a different language and on a platform that I despise, that has a completely different energy. And I'm sat listening to YouTube out of the TV, and I'm so controlling and boundaried that I'm going to make you use headphones. Because there's no way you can be here if you're making noise out of your phone. Like, there's just no way I would choose that over just being on my own. So, you know, straight away you're getting into all these control dynamics. And so really, I come to the conclusion that it's not worth it. And what we're doing it for, so we do that for 5 hours every evening, where we're completely disconnected and just in each other's way, really. What's of it? We can go to bed together and rub each other's PPs. Like, really? Is that really why we're doing this? Like, is it worth it? Well, no, I'll just use Eventboy once a month and not have to deal with any of that bullshit. And it costs 20 quid to use Eventboy, right? Obviously. Now, obviously, there's what the potential connection I was developing or am developing with this individual is way more than you'll get with Eventboy, of course. But is it really, if you sat there with headphones on a different fucking platform? We can't even watch a film together. I mean, I don't watch films. I really liked it, actually. So I did the standard fucking normie thing. This was great. So we you know, I bought us. We were in a cafe and we'd had 2 drinks. So, you know, that was done. Like, we couldn't keep doing that. It was wet outside, and he was dressed like a woman, wearing woman's shoes. So we couldn't go walking or anything like that. And what am I trying to say? Oh shit, I've lost it. Oh yeah, so I did the normie thing. So basically I was trying to get him back here so I could, you know, have my wicked way with him. But he's not having that at all. He's, yeah, like, that's not gonna happen. Like, if I'm gonna have my wicked way with him, which obviously is just a funny way for saying making love, I'm gonna have to honor him and put the work in. And so basically the moral question for me is like, yeah, I shouldn't be speaking about this because he might be watching. I will share it with you one day, very soon, I'm sure. So let me go back to the original story I was trying to tell you. So I did the normie thing and I was like, do you want to go back to mine and watch a movie? I haven't watched a movie for 8 years. He just goes, I don't watch movies. They're bullshit. Which I was dead impressed with. But then actually I realized that actually what it is, he said they're boring. And I realized, oh no, what it is he's addicted to shorts. He doesn't have the attention span for a movie. So we can't even watch a movie together. Like, what do you do? How do you have a relationship with somebody from a different culture, from a different age generation? But I don't want to date a 40-year-old because they're all disgusting. So for me, I just think it's futile, to be honest. But I'm also enjoying his company and learning lots. We're going to watch the sunset together tonight, and he's going to be dressed like a woman. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Well, I feel resistance to it. I feel repulsion over it. But I don't know if that's just shame over my sexuality playing out, and I should just not judge that and just be like, well, that's what he is, and you know, he also has like loads of stuff that I really like, and I kind of, you know, like that he's basically a woman as well, but I also don't. I also shame it and judge it because I'm homophobic, because I hate myself. Okay, it's time we all need to accept the hobby jab days was actually biomedical fascism. So I think he's talking about COVID and the BIP. And we must not repeat the same naivety next time they tried to save the world. Yeah, but we will. As a collective, we will. I mean, we're already doing it. Like, we're already buying into Rupert Lowe. Like, that's exactly the same thing. I hope you never have a bio accident, but if you did and needed a blood transfusions, intravenous medicines whilst you were in a coma, how would you feel, Tom? I'd be devastated. I'd be absolutely devastated if I had to take on someone else's blood, which would no doubt have, you know, the DNA altering jib jab in it. To me, that feels like the end of life. I don't think that will happen to me. But if it did, I would seriously consider ending my life, is how I view it now. Obviously, when it actually happened, I would have to face it and I would have to learn from it. And it would all be, if it did happen, it would be it would have been predestined and for my greater good. So the absolute repulsion the absolute repulsion I feel to it now, on the other side of that repulsion is a deeper version of me that's more trusting and more flowing and isn't scared of things. So it would be for my greater good and it would benefit me in the long run. But right now, that scares the shit out of me and I hope it never happens. Pass the message on to Michael. Thanks, money. Yeah, sure. I'll tell him that I'm not doing that. And we'll discuss it. And maybe we'll discuss it on camera. You don't even need to jab everyone, just enough to wear them. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that level of fear. I'm not saying it's not true. Look at Racheal. Can you throw some money in, please? Can you throw some money in, please? I really, you know, I really appreciate you, Racheal, but you know, people will do what's right for them. And, you know, if they're going to do it out of harassment, then that's not really the energy I want to receive in. But I do, you know, it also makes me laugh, and I like how you're, I both like and dislike it. I don't think I've got another hour in me, Racheal, so I don't think, yeah, I mean, maybe we could do one more hour for 20. Yeah, I'm happy to do, I'm certainly happy to put out the possibility of another half hour, so an hour and a half. But actually, no, I'd really like it to end. I'd like it to end in 15 minutes. I can feel my energy dropping. I can feel my eyes are closing. 3 hours is definitely the one. So I think we're good. I don't think we need any more money. I think we end in 13 minutes. If someone does put a tenner in, I'll do another half hour. But I think we end in 15. I'm happy to end. Don't go with Asian women, mates. They will have you wearing flip-flops in your own house. Yeah, so this is the other thing. They are batshit crazy. Not as batshit crazy as Western women. They're still women, so that's, you know, better. But yeah, the whole flip-flop thing is mental, man. It's so crazy because there's so little standard. That implies negative. I don't mean negative. It's so like live and let live and free flowing and chaotic and crazy, but then they're obsessed with fucking flip-flops and whether you wear them in the house or not and which ones you wear in the house. And apparently in Japan, there's like 10 different flip-flops for 10 different things. And like apparently going to the gym in Japan is an absolute nightmare because you have to go with like five different pairs of flip-flops, and one's for the yoga mat and one's for the changing rooms and one's for the gym floor. And like, obviously, if you break any of these rules, it's like you've stabbed them in the heart because they only know how to operate via rules in Japan. So yeah, mental. But not as mental as a liberal woman. Oh, yeah, it's definitely time to finish. I love Racheal, but selecting people and asking them all to chuck in 20s is a bit much. She's like a pimp. Yeah, I agree, Riley. I agree. It's actually quite entitled. So Racheal's still very entitled. Only last week she commented, so I share videos on Tom Greater X that are relevant to Tom Greater X that may use some English refugee footage. And then a few weeks later, I share them on English refugees. Soon that will change and soon it will all just be present and up to date and I won't need to do that. And obviously I make that decision based on my channels, based on that some people only watch certain channels and based on what I see as the greater good, both for me making money and for what I want to put out into the universe. And then Racheal obviously only sees things from her perspective because she's very entitled. So she will comment, already seen this, and then something else. So she thinks that I need telling what her opinion is and that my channel should be based on her opinion because she's so entitled. She also might think that I'm not aware that I've shown it on two channels because she's not very aware, and therefore she projects that onto me. So Racheal is hugely entitled. Only a week ago, she was still thinking that my YouTube channel should be all about her. Now, obviously, she'll come back and say, no, I don't think that, but I'm speaking on a level that she's not aware of. So yeah, and that shows up in her thinking that because she donates, she can now harass people. She's entitled, very entitled. But I love her, and she's doing the work, which is all that matters to me. As long as one is doing the work and making the incremental improvements, the incremental deepenings into self, then I love and honor them, and I don't get triggered by her entitlement because it's, she's coming from a very repressed, entitled place, and she is doing the work. And she will receive this reflection, and she might have some resistance to it at first, but she probably actually won't. She'll probably go, all right, yeah, I think you're right. Because she is really leaning in and doing the work, and no longer defensive. But she does still have all the entitlement, the repression, the tardation. But she's doing it. Step by step, she's doing it. As in peeling that off. Nah, I disagree. Anyone who took the jib jab should be compensated. No, the compensation is the teaching. The compensation is the reflection. The compensation is the offering of awakening. And if they don't, then expiration will occur and is probably for the best for everyone concerned. Tom, it's frustrating that male viewers don't chuck money in, but you prioritize them. See, look at that projection. What do you mean I prioritize them? I prioritize people that are interesting. It's nothing to do with gender. I prioritize people who support the chat financially and are interesting. They're the only two criteria. I think you might mean I prefer men. I prefer being around men. I think men in general are less indoctrinated than women. Yes, but that doesn't come into a chat. I just click on interesting people or people that send me money, who tend to be the most interesting ones anyway, because the two go hand in hand in most cases. Not so much in yours, Racheal. You are interesting. You don't need one of these neo-women, bro. Just find your creativity and create it will fulfill you much more than any woman can. I think that's really good advice. But there's also a bit of defeatism in that, like, it's totally given. Yeah, so I totally agree with you that focusing on a woman comes from not focusing on yourself, and you're much better off doing this. But also, there's a bit of escapism in this, in that, like, you don't need a woman. I agree with that much more than any woman can. Yeah, I totally agree with your words, but also there is an offering or an encouragement to also open to the possibility that by doing this, because this is dead right, that a woman who can honor you may come into your life, and that you would be open to that, presumably, unless you're a batty boy, but I don't think you are. Tom, in the nicest possible way, Racheal is doing your lives no favor with a drunken rants about money and now slugging off male viewers. Yeah, I agree with that, and I've just called her in. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Racheal, Riley is definitely right. So you think she's drunk? Yeah, that's quite possible at this time, isn't it? Racheal, do you drink? No, Rachel's a smoker. I don't think Rachel's a drinker. Yeah, absolutely. As Riley will confirm. Yeah, like she's really struggling. She's very repressed and unconscious, but she is doing the work and she is improving. You know, I had her in the same category as Sophie only 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she's improved dramatically. So I really honor and love her, but I do agree that the coming for individuals in the chat needs to stop. And if it doesn't stop, she will be put into a timeout. But I don't think I need to do that. I think it will stop. I think she'll hear the message and she'll self-reflect and she'll agree with you all, because she is doing the work. I have made it clear to my kids that I am not able to make decisions. That if I am not able to make a decision, they need to make it clear not to give me blood transfusions, even if it's the end of me. Wow. Yeah, I think I'd rather die too. Wow, Riley. I like your very principled nature. Thank God you said that, Tom. It's not good what she's doing. Yeah, totally. And there you go. She's accepted it. An apology isn't needed, Racheal. Just what would be better than that is thanks for the reflection, Riley. That was very helpful. I will learn from it. No one wants you to be shamed. No one wants you to feel sorry. No one, and sorry is just sorry is not taking responsibility. What would be much better is posting in where you're saying, God, you're right. Thanks for that reflection. I'm going to make changes. And everyone's just going to go, great, well done, and move on. Sorry is like the is the way out for the person that doesn't want to take responsibility. No, I don't think that's you. I think you do want to take responsibility, but I think your conditioning over the word sorry, that's acceptable. And isn't just a word that the irresponsible use, is why you've used that word. Because I do think you're responsible, and I do think you will take responsibility. Or I do think you're learning to be responsible, I should say. So that's just an offering to you, Racheal, for you to have a more powerful, faster process with this, is rather than using the word sorry, which is kind of just like, sorry, I don't need to take responsibility, but I'm sorry. But it's just a word. So it's not really, sorrow isn't really necessarily there. Shame is probably there, and embarrassment is probably there, and humiliation in this moment is probably there, which are the teachers, so that's good. But what would be really powerful for you is to take accountability. She's now rimming. I think she's trying to say something else. What would be really powerful for you and really allow you to feel the humiliation, the teacher, would be to take accountability. You are right, Riley. Thank you for your reflection. Would be a much better way of dealing with it than sorry. But good on you, Racheal. I know that you'll do the work around it. I know you'll improve. Wow. Transfusions could be considered a form of cannibalism. Interesting. Caluso, the 31-year-old former Trump lover. I'm going to get some shrooms. He just reminds me so much of me when I was 31. Or maybe more like 35, 36, 37. And 31. I was just obsessed with shrooms. And I think that's a great way to be for a decade. That trip was about 3.5 today. Wow. So you're basically merging with consciousness on 3.5. So imagine if you took 12. But I'll chuck another 5 on top and see what happens. Oh, Caluso, you're just great, mate. You remind me so much of me. Yeah, brilliant. I think that will do it, mate. I think if you got there with 3.5, I think 8.5 are going to. I think you're going to fully merge with consciousness. Amazing, mate. How often do you do shrooms? It sounds like it's at least every week, but I'm starting to think it's maybe 3 times a week. And you see, here you go, Racheal. Riley has nothing but love for you. People who respect themselves, enlightened people, whatever you want to call, whatever you think Riley is, somebody who's very far on this path is how I would describe it. They'll offer reflections and they're boundaried. They respect themselves, they honor themselves, and they don't let people cross their boundaries. Like you, for Riley, you just crossed her boundaries with how you were showing up, and she'll give a strong reflection to that. But she won't hold on to it. She'll hold on to that experience if she feels that it will serve her. It's not about holding on to the experience. She will learn from that experience, and she's seen you now, and she may keep a certain level of boundary up in regards to you until you are ready for that, to walk over that boundary, in her opinion. But she won't hold on to it and judge you. She won't hold onto it and hate you. She will, like me, see that you're trying and that you have taken accountability, and therefore she will send you love. So there's no need for you to hold on to any shame you're feeling right now, Racheal. But as long as you do feel the shame, then you do need to hold on to it, because not hold on to it. You do need to experience the shame to learn. And maybe that means you need to hold on to this for 36 hours or whatever it is for you. And you might go to work tomorrow thinking about this and feeling shame over it. And that's what you need, and that's fine. But just know from our perspective, you don't need to hold on to that shame. It's gone, it's done, it's finished. I'm 56 and still drink. Riley, thanks for, oh yeah, she's really pissed. She's really drunk right now. She can't even finish her sentences. Well spotted, Riley. Racheal, I love you so much. And Riley does too. It's all good. But yeah, you're learning. It's fine. Hey up. Does that say Philippines or Philippines? I don't know if the guy's called Phil or if it... yeah, I'm too tired. No, it should have another I in it, I think, for Philippines. So I think this is somebody called Phil, and he likes pine trees. Missed. All right, we are finishing. I'll just read the best people's comments. Just recently, I've been doing them 2 times a week. I had a 5-month break from it. The new shrooms are really powerful. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? As Schumann resonance rises, so the energy of the universe, the energy of the earth, which is scientific and onograph, as that rises, and as humanity gets more, let's just say dark, insane, deluded, conditioned, repressed, that the medicine is going to get stronger. So that makes a lot of sense. I love it, mate. I think it's great that you're doing it twice a week. You'll know when you no longer need that. But right now, it's clearly serving you greatly. Mate, I think you're fucking great. I love you. Yeah. You're very far on the journey, Riley. Very far on the journey. All right, lots of love, guys. Thank you so much for your contributions, Racheal. Thank you for supporting me financially. Thank you for allowing the live streams to happen. More importantly, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for self-reflecting. Thank you for showing up and doing it. Thank you to Riley for your fantastic reflections. To Racheal, thank you to Riley for honoring the chat and helping me, even though I already knew and was going to do it. But I really like how Riley showed up tonight. Lots of love, people. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.